So what we were talking about is disrespect. We were trying to define disrespect, far as courteous and insult, whatever, the lack of courtesy and all that. But anyway, we came to your episode that you actually had on Sunday. I was driving on my way back into town and I was listening. I wasn't looking. And I said that I thought you did very well. You were on your square and Kevin Samuels came in and I thought that you had very good points and you were speaking from your point of view. I agreed with you. Okay. But I wanted you so much not to say anything. But when you did say something, it sounded too emotional. It sounded like it was something that a woman would say. When you got to the part about paying the bills, you didn't have to say that. The whole world was agreeing with you. But that part right there was an emotional response to him when you had already, I'm not going to say won because there was no win or lose. You had made your point and everybody understood exactly. Well, I'm not going to say everybody. I understood exactly where you were coming from. And you are a man just as he. You didn't have to justify yourself. And I wish you understood that. So
No,
that's
I mean, I understand what you guys are saying when I didn't necessarily have to justify, me sticking up for myself. But I don't know. I just, in the moment, you're right. I was a little bit emotional because it did feel like the words were being put in my mouth and then my viewpoint was being misconstrued and like I wasn't sure where he came in with the heat because if anyone was emotional, it seemed like he was emotional the entire monologue he was giving, the whole 10-15 minutes. And then at the end of it, I'm like, I'm confused how you're attacking me when we're basically are agreeing. I didn't say half of the stuff he said, and he I don't know. And he what really got me mad because I couldn't even respond to him. He just left. I was like, how you just gonna leave without even allowing me to respond? And then when I was trying to respond throughout the conversation, you kept cutting me off.
Yeah.
I'm like,
right.
and so yeah, you're right. I didn't have to say, he don't pay my bills. It is what it is. I'm a man. Cool. Yeah, you're right. I didn't have to say any of that. But it was just in my brain. It was just funny how I don't know. I felt like I was the only one that was understanding that like I'm a grown man too. He's 52. I'm 23. It is an age difference, but like I said, I've been living on my own for the past 3 years. I feel like a grown man. If you look in the video clip, he said the problem is we feel like we're both men, and that like took me back. I was like, "What do you like?" If you watch the playback, he said word for word that the problem with this whole thing is the whole conversation was that we felt like we were both men, and I'm like, "What do you mean we feel like we're both men? Am I not a man to you? Are you a woman? Am I like I'm confused? Like where the whole disconnect of us not being both men?" And then you're right. I didn't have to say, "Oh, you don't pay my bills," or I'm a grown ass man and all that extra shit, but it was just funny to me how he didn't allow me to respond. He came in emotional, like I'm about to let me what did he say? He said, I want to check that shit right there. Like he already came in hot. And then I think Lee was saying that I came in hot. I was like, I didn't feel like I came in. I was just coming there to talk, get my little point of view and dip out because JR asked me to come on. And I had my girl here and I was trying to, speed through and get out. But then he came in with the heat trying to put words in my mouth, talking about a whole bunch of other stuff. In my opinion, it felt like he was talking to somebody else, like one of his detractors or something. But then I was just the martyr for it. You know what I mean? Because like half of the stuff he said, I didn't say.
I agree with you. I don't think he was talking directly to you. I think he was talking to your generation. That's
Yeah.
why I say to you, I want you to know who you are. You are a young man, and you don't have to clarify that.
Mm-hmm.
Your opinion on what you stated was your opinion on what you stated.
Mm-hmm.
When you let people make you more emotional, because you just wore all of that. You just wore it. And I'm like, why is he wearing this? He doesn't have to say anything, and you would have been fine. Kevin Samuels talks very condescending, and he's been accepted to do that. It's almost like what people say, okay, he's here to drop the mic, and he had a drop the mic moment. And I wish you would have just had that same drop the mic moment and not said anything to him, because what you said was right. You were actually living in the moment, per se.
Yeah.
You were in the moment. Whether you have gotten to the place where you realize your image makes a difference or not, that's just where you are. And you already said that. I really don't think he was talking to you. I think he was talking to the generation of people and young men
Well,
around you that are your age, because what you said was, you never did say I'm against suits. You never said any of that.
Yeah, but if you hear when I asked him, I was like, "What do you think I'm saying, Kevin? Like, what position do you think I'm holding?" He literally said that I believe you shouldn't wear suits, and I was like, "No, no, no, no. Now you're wrong because the first thing that came out of his mouth was to say that I didn't believe in wearing suits." I was like, "I didn't say that once," and so that's why I really felt that he was just straight out putting words in my mouth. And I was like, I did not say you should never wear a suit and suits are bad and you shouldn't invest in suits, especially as a young cat. Like I said, I own 3 suits. So I was just really confused as to how he was putting so much words on my mouth. And then people were like nodding along. People in the chat saying I'm wrong for making faces. I'm like, I'm making faces because this guy is going on and on and on talking to me saying I'm saying one thing where for the majority what he's saying I agreed with, but you're like being argumentative, trying to put words in my mouth, and I didn't have any room to respond, and if when I did he cut me off. So
that's what
I
that's
get, I get what he's saying, security boss. I get what he's saying. If Kevin being the older person though should have said, Sway, I'm not talking to you, but I'm talking to a couple of guys I had on my show that held this point of view.
yeah,
no,
That
but
would
he's
have been
I
better than
specifically
just
that's not
going
asked
at
him,
him.
what he thought my position was, and he said that my position was that I didn't believe you should wear suits, and I was like, no, 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 no,
No,
no.
nobody's trying to attack his image consulting business at
Yeah,
all. You know,
no, he's not, but
nobody's trying to take money.
he's not going to say that, because remember, there's Sway, there are less of you, there's more of people your age that don't believe in suits than there are you,
yeah,
right? So he's going to be speaking to the masses, not necessarily you, but he's going to use you because of what you said.
for sure.
Yeah, it seems like he was talking to your generation. You just so happened to be
Right. And
the
you
target. The
right.
target.
You had some likenesses, like when you mentioned the Jordans and when you mentioned something else. I don't remember everything. But the whole point I'm saying to you, I just wish, I'm saying this to you now, know that you are a man and you're growing up, and what you say for now is who you are. If
Hmm.
you have something to learn, you will learn it. But you can't get it with people, with him being, going back and forth with him. You're not going to be able to get it
I
because
just
you're
don't feel like I did. If I literally spoke for 30 seconds throughout the entire interaction, and it was like a 12-minute conversation where he had two 5 to 6 minute monologues. And the time I did interject, I asked him, I was like, "What position do you think I'm holding, Kevin?" And he said, "You feel that you shouldn't wear suits." I was like, "No, now I know you're wrong. Like, you're just talking to talk now. You're not even talking to me because you're saying that I'm saying one thing or believe in one thing, where if you play it back, Kevin, instead of getting your feelings about me saying, bringing up one point he brought up in the chat about the Jordans, he said you should cut out Jordans. And I brought up one thing that he said about Jordans. And after that, I feel like he just hit a switch and then came in and just came with all his talking points and just pushed them on me like I believed against everything he was saying. I brought up one thing he said about Jordans. That's it.
Yeah, but listen
I got
to
a
what
question.
I'm saying.
Go ahead.
Sway, your power comes in what you do and what you do. If you
Hmm.
would have said nothing and just listened to him, you would have been just fine. You would have been more man, because he is a man. We're not saying he's perfect and knows everything, because he's not. There's still things for him to learn. We still have to bridge the gap between the older generation and the younger generation, but we do have to understand each other. So if you could have pulled back from what he was saying, that was what you felt was directed towards you, and just hear what he's saying as a whole, then you would have been fine. It would have been perfect. But I do understand that you felt attacked. I do that too. But that's what we're talking about. We were trying to get to the bottom of us as a culture or a community being attacked. I have to hear you tell me something, whether you're 23 or 63. I have to hear that, especially if I don't feel like you're trying to hurt me. I don't think that Kevin Samuels was trying to hurt Sway.
Yeah, I got
So
a question.
if you could hear it from that point of view, then you would understand what I'm trying to say. Right now, I'm not trying to hurt you because you don't know me and I don't know you. I'm just saying to you, I heard a man who has accomplished something in life. You were respectable. You didn't argue. You didn't fight. You didn't use bad language. You did none of that. That is what we want you to show up like. But I need you to listen for just a little bit more, and you don't have to defend what you believe right now, because you still have a lot to learn. And that way you don't give him what he's going to say that most of you do. You understand what I'm saying? He's going to say that most of you all don't listen. That's the problem with the generation. That's the problem with your generation now. That's why we're in this position. And he said all of that. Am I right?
I mean, he said a lot of things that like I didn't know where they came from. So like I said, you can watch it. For the most time, I was quiet until he stopped talking. I tried to speak and I got cut off in 10 seconds into talking. I couldn't even rebut anything he said, and then he started going on another monologue. I promise you, watch it back and see what happened. I was quiet the entire time. And honestly, I don't disagree with what he was saying. That's why I haven't gone on any of these platforms. Any of his haters, like many people have tried to get me on their shows to talk about it and come
Oh,
at Kevin or whatever the case may be. I'm like, I didn't disagree with him. I just didn't like the fact, like how he was talking to me, putting words in my mouth, and basically saying I'm not a man because trying to son me, quote unquote. You know what I mean? I'm not his son. I have my own father. I have my own, like it is what it is. I just don't want to feel that type of energy from a man that I don't know you. You're a great man in the sense that you have a lot of information that you're giving to the young cats and even the older cats who might be lost, but you can't think just because you are older than me that you can son me. I have a father, and I don't even take that from him.
explain that son thing to me because I don't understand that. I don't know what that means.
Well, look, the example I gave you, he literally said, the problem is we feel like we're both men. What do you mean we feel like we're both? I am a man. What are you talking about? He came in trying to sun me off the rip, and
But what if his responsibility, or what if his responsibility is to see you as his son because of his duty to
You
you
gotta
as
put
a young
yourself
black
into
man?
that.
What if he feels that way? What if he feels like it's my job to make sure you have all this information? What if he actually feels that way? Does
no,
that
it's you can give me the information. Like I've listened to Kevin for a while,
okay?
and like I said, I have a father and a grandfather. I don't necessarily need you to son me. You can just give your talking points and your ideas, your opinions, and the history, the knowledge, your lived experiences, and I will be quiet and listen like I did. I was quiet. My only problem I had with him was that he put words in my mouth. I didn't disagree with most of the stuff he was saying. I just didn't like that he was thinking that I was pushing a different narrative, and
Right.
then he was trying to sun me, or he was trying to like discredit me by the age. And if you watch, he tried to say check that shit like he does he does on his show, but he
Okay.
stuttered a little bit because he realized he wasn't on his show. That's why he brought up the age difference. I'm telling
But
you, I'm not making it up.
no, I heard some. I mean, I wasn't intent because I was listening and not looking, so it makes a difference. I know y'all don't believe that, but it makes a difference when you see things and you put the words to it. It's a little different. But let me say this to you, as an older woman myself, I would love to see the community work together. I would love it for you to accept wisdom from me if I had it for you, and not just know that it can only come from your grandfather and your grandfather and your dad. I don't know for sure if that's where he was coming from, but I also do know that there's a way for me to display that. I do know I need to speak to you in a way. I do know I can't be condescending. I do know I have to empathize with what you're saying. And he's very condescending. So I'm agreeing with you on that. But that
But
don't
I also think Cameron comes from that tough love generation.
but that wasn't necessary.
I don't think that was
He
tough.
wasn't fighting. He wasn't fighting him. Sway wasn't fighting. So it was no
Come on,
need
man.
for I didn't see the need for tough love. I didn't hear the need for tough love. So I don't really know about that. But my point I was just trying to make is Sway, I just wish I wish you didn't get emotional about it because he can't keep you and neither can I keep you from being a man. That's where you are. That's who you should be. And you should work at that each and every day to become a better one. And if somebody has something for you, I think I just want you to be able to hear it and not be emotional about it because it's not going to take away from you. Just embrace it if you can and just continue to work on it and continue to grow. That's
Hey,
basically what I
hey,
wanted to say.
For sure. Like I said, I'm cool, calm, and collective. I don't want to put disrespect on Kevin. I don't want to put disrespect on Lapeef. I wasn't trying to argue anywhere after that stream. I'm like, if you want to pick a side, you just go deal with that stream. I'm not going to disrespect Kevin and anything he says or him as a person. I didn't disagree with the things he said. I just didn't like how he approached me and how he was, quote unquote, trying to sun me. That's it. Putting words in my mouth. I like Kevin. I could have said, Kevin, we agree, but he kept talking. Anytime I talk, he would cut me off, or at the end, he just left. I couldn't even respond. So
Yeah, that was that drop the mic thing. Sometimes a lot of this is entertainment. I hate that part because it was a sincere moment. It should have been. But you add that fanfare and all that to it, and it kind of gets lost. So I'm gonna apologize for that myself, because it's a real thing. It was a real opportunity for two men to talk about it, and he being an elder, for you to take something away. But I get exactly what you're saying. So
A right to his opinion. Not saying it this way, but does a younger person have a right to their opinion, even if we believe it's wrong? Can we accept it?
Well, I don't think it's a wrong or right thing. It's just your outcome. It's where you're going. If that's where Sway is right now at this point in his life, that is where he is. But what Kevin was trying to say, if we want to change the image, and I think I'm saying this right, if we want to change the image of the Black community, there has to be some change that takes place, or there are going to be people who look at us like we're criminals, we're thugs, we're this and we're that. That's what it's going to be. Now, if you're cool with that, then we can stay right there and we'll be there. But if you're not cool with that, then you might want to put on a suit 3 days a week and go out into the public and show people how smart you really are. That's what he was trying to say. But it's still your choice. But he's just telling you, if you want, it's just simple. I mean, but because I wear a uniform, like, when I said this earlier, when I put on my uniform, the respect I get is outrageous, y'all. It's just outrageous. You get free food, you get free coffee, you get whatever you want. Thank you for your service. This is left and right.
I can attest to that.
I think it's just free game that I wasn't there, but sometimes elders are giving you free game that they learned later in life. So instead of Sway, you're 23, I think. Instead of you learning it at their age, that they probably learned it at 25, 30, they're probably giving you free game, because he's right. Suits, I'm in the business world. Suits will get you far, right? IT, if you're in IT, it will get you far. We can't say it doesn't. Come on. I'm in human resource now. If you have two people and one is in a suit and they both have the same accolades on a resume, you have one in a suit and one's not in a suit. I'm looking at what they look like. Image matters. We're not going to be naive and say image doesn't matter. If they both have the same qualities on the resume and they both speak the same way, I'm going based on who has the better image.
But you know what? But let me say this in Sway's defense. He didn't say that. So
Yeah,
I'm actually talking to Dr. Panderson. Sway didn't say that. Sway didn't have a problem with the suits.
Yeah, I think I was, yeah.
People, even if a person believes something different, can respect them where they are. That's all I'm saying.
Can you, yes, of course.
Yeah.
You can respect them where they are.
Dr. Panderson, I can understand your position, but then I can also understand Kevin's position is when, if a younger cat is talking, like, disagreeing with the whole suits thing, and then Kevin would be, where are the outcomes that you have to support not wearing a suit gets you where you want to go, especially if in specific areas, you know what I mean?
I agree. I'll wear a suit. But I'm just saying, if the person doesn't want to wear a suit because they said they don't feel like it, I want to work over here and I want to eat 2 turkey sandwiches per week.
Yeah, and that's their prerogative, but then you can't complain about not being where you want to be in your life for certain situations.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just saying, more like, don't try to force a suit on somebody who says I don't want to wear one.
Yeah,
for sure.
Type of thing. Meaning, let them be where they are.
Yeah,
I think he was just passionate. You know what I mean? He wanted to see us do better. So I'm not. I don't disagree with wearing a suit or his passion about wearing a suit. I just didn't like the way he was coming at me. So
no, I agree. I'm just throwing that out as a hypothetical, just more like communication.
What's going on, y'all?
Okay, hey Chicago Rilla, how are you?
Hey, hey, security boss. Hugh, go to bed. Jesus Christ.
Drink some water.
I'm about to drink some water. Then I'm about to go tend to my wife.
Don't tell that man what to do.
Flash that ring. Hey.
How about that? No, I ain't. No. I was in. Excuse me, security boss, but I was in my bad
Mike,
BMO all last night.
Mike, mute yourself. There you go, Chicago Rilla. Go ahead. You was doing what?
No. I said I was in my bad bay mode all last night. So no, I ain't flashing no rings today. But I didn't know when I was gonna see Sway again or grace the platform with him again, and I don't have his math. So I did want to pull up when you extended the invite because I know when I came up, I hadn't seen all of the interaction, and I didn't feel like I was directly addressing Sway with my commentary. I was actually using that moment and I was speaking to something different and the opportunity that I saw in the moment. So I wanted to publicly say, Sway, if you were offended or if what I said was taken out of context and, whatever, I wanted to publicly apologize to you. because I think the bigger moment and what was being said and what the conversation that needed to happen. Tuesday we did kind of get into it, and shout out to Cheeky because he did represent a different perspective very well, and I love talking with cats that are younger than me because it gives me an idea. When he's talking about sunning, security boss,
I don't know.
yeah, he's talking about the idea of a man treating another grown man, regardless of age, treating you less than a man.
Oh.
You're addressing somebody as if they're your son and you have the right to discipline, correct, almost, administer corporal punishment or whatever. And as men, we may not have like a ritual or a formalized rite of passage, but we all, I think Sway said he's 26. So at 23? Okay, my bad. So at 23, he may have already passed through what he considers to be a rite of passage to become a man, right? So the first thing I have, like one of the things that we always say, or I think the gentleman will attest to what we often hear is I'm a man before I'm anything else, right? That means don't disrespect me. I'm a grown man first, and I'm gonna address my business, and I'm gonna handle that as such. Now, what I don't agree with and what I see in spaces are, young lions may feel entitled and they buck up and do too much. And I'm not saying that was the case Sunday, but I do see that sometimes where young lions trying to preserve and stand on their square in terms of their manhood, they'll buck up too much. But if an individual feeling like they being sunned, they gonna do everything in their power to stand on their square and make sure you understand at the end of that interaction that I'm a man first and you will deal with me as such. And that person, older, younger, rat, cat, dog, whatever, you're going to have to respect that. Right. So I understood, going back afterwards and looking at some more of the context of the conversation that was being had. But I did issue a challenge to the OGs. I issued a challenge to the young bloods on Tuesday. I issued a challenge to the OGs too. OGs, we got to do a better job of listening a lot more. And I'm not speaking to Sunday, that interaction. I'm just saying this in two parts. I'm issuing a formal apology to Sway if he took what I said out of context and thought I was addressing that towards him, or if it was any offense taken whatsoever. The other part is young bloods have to show grace to some of these OGs. And OGs, we definitely got to do a better job of listening to these young cats and then pouring into them and investing in them for their space. But Sway, I want to ask you this because I asked Cheeky this, and I have a honest question. Is this generation more soft? Are they emotional and their feelings are more soft? This generation of men.
I mean, than the previous generation?
Yeah.
Honestly, no. I don't think they're as soft because we saw a lot of the mistakes that led to like the incarceration rate or like, getting a whole bunch of kids. Like where I think maybe they might be soft in the sense that they don't tolerate disrespect from elders or just from people in general. Like they might, be more sensitive to that. Like they don't want to necessarily feel like they're getting sunned, and they might be sensitive to that end. But I don't think they're soft per se compared to the previous generation. We're not outright going, starting fights for people saying the N word to us. We're not outright starting, trying to, cause. We're not trying to put ourselves in a bad predicament like going to jail or losing our jobs or being seen as a I don't know, just discredit our personality or our manhood like that. We're not necessarily putting ourselves in a position to be exposed by getting emotional. I think there is still a lot. I just don't think it's as many. I think it's probably dropped about 10%. If you want to be honest, I still think it's a problem, but I don't think it's like how it's been 20 years ago. No.
So do you think weaker and softer, are they the same? The reason
No.
why I say that is because the word of God said you all will be much smarter, but you're weaker. You're weaker as individuals, but you're very much smarter.
Yeah. I don't think it's, yeah, I agree with you on that, security boss. That we're probably smarter, but I guess in the terms of sticking up for, like, going to war, trying to fight, physically or trying to do things
Yeah.
um most society would seem out of pocket, but in our case, we're just sticking up for ourselves. A lot of times we might just let it go and brush under the rug. Be like, nah, we're not going to placate into something that might put us in a disadvantage. Like in high school, I never once got into a fight in high school. Many people try to fight me. Many people try to start something with me. I'm like, in my brain, I'm like, why am I going to fight you to fuck up my chances to go to college? This is high school. I don't know none of y'all. And I think a lot of guys now are trying to realize, like, I'm not about to sacrifice my life for another person instigating something. Now, does that mean we're softer or weaker? It might mean we're weaker, but I don't necessarily make us soft. You know what I mean? I don't think we're soft, because if we did have to put hands on somebody, I would still put hands on somebody. I'm just not about to initiate nothing. I would have to be smart enough where I can set it up where it seems like I'm defending myself, and I'm not going to jail for defending myself. You know what I mean? So,
SB, can I ask one more question? And I promise I'll get out of y'all face. And I'm going to drink one more bottle of water, Q. And then I'm going to go tend to my wife.
Okay, husband.
Hey,
I feel like he's really feeling his wife thing, you know?
Oh, yeah.
He's really
I'm flexing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm flexing.
Hey, Rilla, congratulations, bro.
Thank you, fam. Thank you. I appreciate
We're in the wedding, so we need our invitations, bro.
Oh, there's Rick Judah, security boss.
You said, wait, what you say?
Y'all just coming in all late.
We need our invitations. We need our
11.
invitations, Chicago. We need our invitations, and then I want you to make sure you paying them records that you were showing on the Lapeef. You know, I want them records playing.
All that's coming, fam. All that's coming.
Okay, okay, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. The pandemic slowed a couple things down, but I promise all that is coming. Sway, honestly, and I asked Cheeky the same thing, and I asked this of a lot of young cats, man. So what do the OGs need to do to facilitate the discussion?
Good question.
And then what? Yeah, I won't ask what y'all need to do on this one. I just need to know what we need to do, what we need to work on, man.
Yeah, good question.
I think honestly, just showing that that what you're saying can lead to actual results, and you're not just talking. You know what I mean? Like, you not just talking to talk, because you went through it, that you feel that this, like, if you are saying we need to, like, say you're a businessman, right? Like, I'm not going to use Kevin, but let's say you're a black businessman, and you're saying we need to upscale the black community in these certain ways, but then you're saying that, but you're not actually implementing in our community. You might be doing it somewhere else, like, I'm for it, but not in my backyard type of vibe. Then we're not going to really, fuck with what you got to say, because you're just talking. You're not actually implementing what you're saying. But I think, you can't come into the situation like you're our fathers. You can come into the situation like you're our mentors, and you got game and knowledge, and not to slack how we feel or what we experience, but you got to understand that we're listening. For the most part, we're listening. But when we're listening and then we see that your life doesn't add up to what you're saying, it's kind of hard for us to get on board. You know what I mean?
Hey, and listen, that's a fair point. One of the things that for me, and even with my sons, I'm the self-proclaimed poster child, right? For in some areas, what not to do, right? Of what not to do. I don't say follow my exact example, and so my life does line up in the sense of, if you're not, a lot of y'all young cats, you're right. Y'all are intentional. Y'all are very intentional right now, and I love the way that you posed that question. I mean, not pose that question, but that observation, that scripture quote, SB, I think is spot on too. I think that was spot on. So, Sway, my last question, bro. Can y'all give the OGs a little bit more grace and help teach us as much as we trying to teach y'all?
Hey, brother, I'm not gonna lie to you. I feel like I'm an anomaly when it comes to lack of ignorance. I'm very open to being wrong. I'm not gonna cap you. A lot of these young cats need to drop their ego. I think that's probably the biggest thing. I think we need to acknowledge that the young cats have an ego, and not in the sense that you're attacking them. It's like, we have to show them that they have an ego. Like, you got to drop it. You are wrong, and you don't have all the answers. Older guys might have more answers to you because they've been through it. And like I said, I talk less than I actually listen. I listen to you guys all the time. I'm just quiet. Even when you were talking, I'm just quiet. I like to take in the information because I didn't get all the answers growing up, especially when it comes to dating, relationship, men and women stuff, and I didn't get none of that. I've had to listen to a lot of things of how to do things properly, but I've always had the feeling that the black community has not been doing things properly. Now, if you're one
Can
of
the
these
ladies
young
answer
brothers
too?
who feels like that the black community is okay, or you're cool with being different and not being like quote unquote part of like the white man way, or like doing things like the white man, talking properly or wearing a suit, or you know getting a trade job, like not trying to be, what I mean? Like, I think also, I'm not gonna lie to you, growing up, trades were not promoted to us.
Mm.
Getting marketable skill was not promoted to us. All we heard was get an education, get a degree, and you'll do better than you went to high school. And then we're coming to find out that if you get a degree, you'll end up with more student loan debt than you do from the
Yes.
job you get. And then now a lot of us don't even want to get a degree, and instead they'll sell drugs because they're trying to keep up with the lifestyle that women are putting on the young cats. So they're trying to get money while also being a man, while also not being disrespected by men and women, and so they're doing anything they can to make fast money. And I think that's probably the biggest issue, that we need to slow it down and tell them you got time to make your money, but you need to get a marketable skill that can actually translate into that later on in life, like 5 years down the road. Do something, that has a 5-year track, so then you can actually take care of your family in 5 years. You know what I mean? Or
What you
take care
do,
of your
Sway?
girlfriend. What do I do?
Yeah.
Right now, I'm an electrical assistant and I'm training to be an electrician, but I also have a second job where I work at a restaurant. So that's where I just came from.
Okay, cool. And
So
can the ladies answer the question too, Miss Security
yeah,
Boss?
I want to tell Sway, listen, Sway, you have been nothing but a gentleman since you've been over here. I think this is your first time being here. I really appreciate it. But I want you to do something, because you did say something. You are different. You are listening. So how do you feel about taking the message and actually telling your counterparts about what's real and what's true and what to do? Do
I
you do
told
that?
yes,
Ah,
yes. I'm very blunt. I could not care about your like necessarily your
That's my
feelings,
dog.
but I'm
That's
very
my
blunt
dog right
when
there.
like you're wrong. You actually my friends. I'm probably the most blunt out of my friend groups, and they all know that I'm gonna be honest with them, and that leads to when I give them a compliment, they also know I'm being for real. I'm not just
Do you get
playing
labeled an
into their
asshole for that,
feelings.
Sway?
Of course, my mom called me an
That's what
asshole
that's what I
straight up.
that's what I thought. Cause I get
Hey,
labeled an asshole, but I
I
wanted to
get
know
called
if
an
the
asshole
ladies can
all the
answer.
time.
Could the
so
ladies
listen,
but
answer the question as
Rilla,
far as what they would
hey,
tell
can
the
I say
ladies?
hold on
can
for
I
one
say
second.
something, Rilla?
Let's let TJ answer that question too, because she's also an elder, and we struggle with. We want y'all to have the right message. So TJ, can you go ahead? Hello.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
Hello
Yes, ma'am.
first.
Yes, ma'am.
yes.
I'm so sorry. I've been struggle streaming. I have the G baby, so it's just so if you
Oh
hear
yeah,
her in the
yeah.
background, please.
Multitasking.
I'm on grandmother duty. But listen, I wanted to
Oh.
call in because Sway, I shouted you out the other day, and I just really my position is a little bit different. I believe that what she said. Okay. um that he was wrong. Okay, I'm gonna turn the camera off. I'm gonna turn the camera off. Okay, but I'm talking. Okay, come here, Tinky. I believe that Kevin was wrong in his approach from the very moment that he came in. And I've said it, and I don't mind saying it because again, from the onset, he came in bogarting the conversation. And I think there was an opportunity there because I've said an opportunity for teachable moments. And I do believe that my generation has to understand that however we need to communicate with you this generation, millennials and zennials, is because we set it up that way. And what I mean by that, we set it up in a way to allow millennials and zennials to have a voice that we didn't have growing up, to be able to express ourselves to our parents and grandparents because we didn't have that. So what happened with that, when y'all start expressing yourselves, we didn't tell you how to stop. And then with it, because even with my daughter's 27. So a lot of times because she would think certain things, she would say what she thought. Well, we didn't teach you how to put it in context and how to be able to deal with constructive redirection. But also, I'm talking just a second. I'm there. but she's 10 months, so forgive me. But also, with that, this is also the generation of everybody gets a prize and everybody has to be perfect. So what we also didn't teach you is how to deal with constructive redirection, how to deal with rejection, how to deal with, because in so doing, now I'm just speaking in general terms, you all took any type of constructive redirection as a personal affront as opposed to redirection. So we kind of created the quote unquote monster that we have to undo. But the challenge is, because we have created this, we have to allow you to express, it and listen first. We have to listen. And I'm not coming from a place that I have it all together, because I had to learn it and I'm still learning it with my daughter. And I gave an example of how I approached a young lady about her image a little over 10 years ago, and we didn't know each other. But if I came at her looking down at her, she would have been like, "Bye, bitch. Who do you tell?" But I approached her in such a way that she received what I had to say. And we were just colleagues. We weren't even friends. But because I went to her and I said, "Listen, you are very smart." I said, "But what I can see is the way that men are looking at you and the way women are looking at you. They're not hearing what you're saying. They're looking at how you're dressed." And I said, "Because you are so knowledgeable, I would recommend you do this. I would recommend that you do that." She took it on. She thanked me. She took it on. Within a few months, she had been in the same position for 5 years as a GS employee, as a GS 11. She had been in that position for 5 years. After we became closer and I kind of mentored her and took her under my wing on certain things, she got promoted and left. She outranks me now in the federal government. But because I took the opportunity as a teachable moment and not look down to her and talk condescendingly to her, that enabled her to open up more to me. So now I consider her like my little sister, because she's about 10, 12 years younger than me. So it's something we have to learn. And I said it before and I say it again. And the fact that, when Kevin said, I've been doing this as long as you've been alive, I was heated, because I know that's not true. I was there. Okay, I know him, but that's another story. But anyway, I just thought it was very condescending and unnecessary. So that's why I wanted to call in.
And I agree with you, TJ. My closing remarks, so security boss can wrap this up. When you're speaking to the younger generation, honestly, I think instead of telling them like necessarily they're doing something wrong, it's more better to just give them all the options and let them make their own choices. Like, if you want to dress a certain way, cool. But if you dress this way, you'll probably get this option. If you dress this way, you'll probably get this outcome. It's like, give them all the knowledge and let them make their own choices. And now they have the knowledge and they can't get mad at nobody. We already told you what would happen if you do certain things, and you'll get the outcomes that you get. If you rob a bank, you probably will go to jail. If you dress a certain way, men are probably going to look at you for sex only. If men dress a certain way, people are probably going to think you a thug and you don't have brains. I try to tell my girl this with her nose piercing. I got her to take her nose piercing out. And she was like, "Why don't you like my nose piercing?" I was like, first of all, it makes your face look clear. You're aesthetically more pleasing. And second of all, in men's brains, when you have a nose piercing, you're only two options to us. You're either wifey or everything else. And a lot of times when you have the nose piercing in, you're considered fun time, not a long time, and you're everything else. So I try to give people all the options and then let them make their own choices. I'm not necessarily there to discredit what they're doing. I'm there to give them a realization of what they're doing may lead to a certain outcome. And then if you do something different, that also may lead you to either a better outcome or the outcome that you actually want. You know what I mean? I'm all about giving everybody all the information and let them make their own choices. I'm not there to judge you for what you're doing, because that's your own life and you're going to have to live with it. Point blank, period.
Javaris?
Yes, ma'am.
I know the Anton starts at 11:45. I was supposed to take a whole hour and 30-minute nap. And none of this is happening right now.
You might as well just transition over, security boss, and then
I'm gonna be looking like Q.
I'll be like this. I'm tired myself. I'm like, I don't think I can stream that long tonight.
So Javaris,
please.
listen, this is your first time coming over, but you can't make it your last. You got to come back.
I will be back. I definitely will be back. I'm here to suck up knowledge, any game y'all can give me.
That's right.
All
So,
right.
Sway, I'm inviting you back again. I think you did an excellent thing. I just pray that you didn't say anything, because sometimes you don't have to say a word. There's power in silence. There's power
Q, when
there.
you starting your podcast up, Q?
I don't know. I gotta discuss some things with JR.
Jojo, you know you HR for life. Life.
The fake one.
Rilla, welcome to the real side. The real side.
Jojo, you dropping any new music?
Huh?
No,
I asked Jojo if
Josie
he dropping
acting
any
up,
new
man.
music.
We trying to get Devontae out there. Man,
Devontae.
can't control Devontae.
So Q, listen, I appreciate you. I did not intend on having you this long, but you're a trooper. You did it.
She
No,
used to
thank
it.
you.
Whenever you get that platform up, you know I'm there with you. Whatever you
No,
want.
thank you. Thank you for having me, and you and your husband, the husband that's back there. Thank y'all for having me on the
The
show.
man is back there doing all the work.
Yeah.
Sway, did you have anything else you wanted to say before we go?
Nope. I'm just glad you allowed me to talk and
I
get my side
appreciate you,
off. I
Sway, brother.
appreciate it. I didn't
I
even
appreciate
intend
you,
to come
brother.
on here.
I
You just
learned
came up
something
on my
from you
feed
today,
while I
Sway.
was at work, and I tapped in, and just happened to
You hear
happen.
me, Sway?
What'd you say?
I was just glad to
I
be
want
on
to
with
say,
Sway.
I appreciate you, brother. I learned something from you today. So I think you're on the right track. I think you're doing amazing. I learned something from you today. I just want you to know that.
And honestly, that's why I tap into these spaces, just to give the younger perspective, so the older cats aren't confused or just talking to themselves. So
Excellent. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Don't make this your last time, and we'll see you soon. Also, to the chat, listen, y'all have been excellent. Y'all have been with me 3.5 hours. I thank you so much. Let's come back on Sunday. Sunday, I'm gonna be doing a pre-show. I'm gonna be over on Sir Hale's channel. So listen, tap in on Sunday night at about 9 o'clock for a pre-show, and we'll go from there. I'll see
What's the
you
quote
out.
before you leave, security boss? You gotta give us an ending quote, like something to think about.
You caught me on that one.
I
Anyway,
give you one.
something to think
I
about.
give you one.
Give you one. Just be your best person. No. Try to be work on being the best you each and every day. How about that?
Okay.
I like
can work with
that,
that.
Tavares. I'm
I
gonna
can
have
work
to
with
think
that. Yeah. You know, I try. You know, I sprinkle a little dab, a little knowledge in there a little bit. You know.
You did. I appreciate it. I accept it. I'll see y'all soon. I might see y'all in about 5 minutes. How about that? I'll see y'all.
No, I always gotta go. Playing house, this ain't a home with my soul. On the road, I can't stay. No, I always gotta go. Playing house, this ain't a home with my soul. On the road.